Okay, welcome to my show. I'm trying. I haven't put very much on this channel, but now here goes the chance, and now you get a chance to see what I look like. Hi guys, nice to see you. And I don't expect anybody to come in here live. There might be a chance and opportunity. So if you do show up, that's a great thing. And if you don't, hey, I've got a dragon repair to do and a couple other things. So I'm going to get right into it and maybe even do just a regular pipe or two, just because I can. Well, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to the other camera because you're not here to see my pretty face. You're here to see my glass work. So we'll go from there. Right, right. And as you type in the chat rooms, I will be able to see it and know that you have said something, which is a good thing. So, so we're going to give it a try here and go from there. And again, I can see what you type in the chat room, and let's get flaming. What I'm going to be working on is the way I treat my stuff. Sometimes I treat it really, really mean, and I just throw it around. I don't foam it up or put bubble wrap around it. But this thing needs some wings, and it needs a tuft in the headpiece there. And with that, I'm going to warm it in, do the job, and warm it out quite nicely. Okay, okay, we'll go from there. Now, um, I've got two types of oxygen concentrators on my torch. I have a 10 liter per minute and also a 5 liter per minute. And they will be doing the job of lighting up my torch and getting the job done. There we go. Oh, something's going on. Oh, I see what the problem is. We got a problem. We got to fix the problem. And moving some stuff around, my hose has disengaged from one of my concentrators, which for me, it's not a big problem. All right, that's what you get when you go live. Everything goes wrong. But it's all repairable and doable. Right, right. And now we're back into the mix. Let's see what we can do. Now what you see here, I don't know, yeah, what you see there is basically a didymium lens that I've sort of propped on the torch to do the job that I'm going to be, instead of wearing a pair of didymium lenses, I'm going to use this as a face shield and a working. Okay, first of all, I'm going to use something that I've grabbed, I got, which are some grabbers, and hopefully, no, I don't like that. I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm sorry. I'm just more prepared with what will happen from one thing and another, but I'll get there. Looks like somebody showed up in the chat room. Good to see you. Well, I can't see you, but good that you can see me. I'm working on repairing this guy. He's got some I wouldn't say major repairs to do. Well, got to get it done anyway. I'm going to put a weld on here at his mouth or his nose area. And we're going to make this sucker warmed in, warmed out, and working well. If you want to go and share, now the idea is to warm it in. And this is bench cold. I don't put it in the oven. I didn't put it in the oven. This gives you an idea that there is a possibility. Now, what I have to tell you is, if you're going to do this, you got to keep warming it all over like I'm doing, shaking it in and shaking it out. But also, when you think you've done it long enough, do it a lot longer. And that's the truth. You can start slowing down just slightly when you're, been in it, waving it in like I'm doing. But this will make sure that the whole thing is warmed up enough that it's not going to explode on you. And if you don't know what I mean by explode on you, you haven't been doing this long enough. Okay? It's getting there. It's getting nice and warm. Yep, getting right up to temp. Now change the flame out a little bit and get it a little bit bigger. I mean, a little bit hotter. Again, if you have a question, type it in the chat room and we'll go from there. But I'm glad to see at least somebody's watching. The other person, you see two people in the chat room, but I'm one of them watching the video chat, watching the chat itself. So I can read it and answer questions. Right. Okay, what I'm using here is some, matter of fact, I might have one handy. No, never around when you want it, of course. Yeah, I'll use this. This is some silver fumed rod or that I made up a little while ago. Let's try another piece. This is a little bit thicker, a little bit stronger. It's finding the right color. Ooh, even better. Here we go. Beautiful. 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 Warm it in some more. Now what I'm going to do is add to the leg there. Actually, I should go ahead and add to the wing first, but I've already got the rod up and ready to go. So we're going to add to the leg there, like so. And I'll come back and do the claws to this thing after a little while. But I got to get I've already started thinking and concentrating on extending the leg. So that's what I'm doing right now. Okay. Now the wings. Let's see if I've got some of this ready to go. Nope. Come on. Oh, there we go. Periwinkle blue. Ooh, here's one of the wings are ready to go. I'm going to put it on. See if it works. This is one of the wings that broke off. I'm doing what I call a cold weld to this thing. Heat it up here and touch it to the wing there. And it holds on to it for the time that you need to sort of work it. I think this one was over here on this side. There we go. One wing down. Pull it off. Here's the other wing. Now putting it in the right perspective also. Sweet. I'm actually going to flip that backwards. Yep, it was going in that direction. That is the original direction that it's supposed to go in. But I don't like it. Hold and pull. I'm going to move this around a little bit. There we go. There's one. I'm going to pull the other one in the same direction. That's where an artist's license comes in. When you're working on somebody or trying to repair somebody else's work, you ask. If you know the person that it belongs to, you ask. It's just better that way. But since I know the artist that worked on this thing, me, I mean, if it's a simple repair, fine. But if it's, they say, hey, put another leg over here, another arm over here. Um, A, they're gonna pay through the nose, of course, and B, it's called a collab, but it's still a collab. Here we go. There. Looks like it needs just a little bit more width here. I'm going to give it to it because the way I moved it back. There we go. Okay. Still a little wonky. It's one of those things that you're in there and you want to do it just right. But I take these things from beginning to end so you can see what and how, where and why. Let me just warm it in a little bit more because we've been all over the place with it. It's looking good so far. Now I'm going to work on the head piece there. Okay. And I'm going to use this stuff that I've already played with right here. The same glass. Just a matter of melting and putting it in the same different spot. Oops, fell off. There we go. That piece is done. Or that part of the piece is done. I still have to put some claws on this thing. Actually, I'm going to adjust it just a little bit more. There we go. Repairs are fun to do sometimes, and they can become a headache too. But you know what? Being able to be a master of what you work with and play with it in ways that other people would say, I ain't going to touch that, it's going to explode on me, is a good way to get a realization that, there are some things that you can control and some things you cannot. So you still have to put the claws on this thing. And here we go. I've got 3 claws on each toe or each foot here. Okay, here we go. I'm warming it out a little bit more. It's looking really, really good. No cracks, no stress. Okay, now I'm going to, where is that thing? Did I drop it in the floor? Yes. Ah, yes. Let's see if I can hold on to this thing. Okay, see if this will do the trick. So I can work on the front. Find out in a minute. Tap it off. There we go. Okay. Oh, I don't like that. There we go. Okay, let's see if I can do this. I'm gonna make it breathe fire. Ah, you can't see it as well as you should be able to. There we go. Ha 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 ha. I'll tilt it back over so you can see it better, but that way you can say my dragons have kissed the flame and breathe fire. Fire breathing dragon. Yeah, I like it. Hey Grant, Powerhead, how you doing? Glad to see you showed up. I'm working on, as you can see, a dragon pipe. Carbs on the side here, and you kiss his mouth for the thrill of it all. I'm going to be doing another pipe, maybe even 2, but these are simple ones. I haven't really done any simple ones at this point on this video. I mean, on this show. So it's an open season thing here too. I mean, um, I could make it just about anything. You got any requests? What type of animal you'd like to see made into a pipe? No guarantees, but this is some silver fume tubing that I encased a while ago. Yeah, fire breathing dragon is cool. It was. I actually do oil lamps too, very similar to that, where you would light it and fire would come out of his mouth, which turns out pretty cool. Here we go. Now, most of the time, my pipes, It looks like I got to warm the whole thing up, pipe in because it's having problems stressing out. Oops, all in one piece still. That's what I get for not warming it in well all the way around. But it's not a disaster because this is all doable. First, I have to reseal it though. Uh oh. Life is full of little uh ohs, right? We'll get there. There we go. All sealed back up. Any request of what you'd like to see made into a pipe? Okay. Redoing this whole piece of tubing. Should have done it from scratch to begin with, but that's life. Now my basic pipe is very simple. Very, very simple. And I'll show you. Starts out with just a regular bowl, but I do select an S curve on the mouthpiece, not the stem part. I know, but you haven't seen it in a pipe form, have you? He asked a question. I'm trying to think of something, but you've done almost everything I can think of. Ha ha ha. You've seen me make a lot of things, probably, but have you seen me make it in a pipe form? Okay, basic bubble. Glass blowing 101 for tobacco pipe makers. Right, right. Gonna pull that off for a little bit. Now you should start with doing things in clear tubing, and then work your way after you've gotten really comfortable with making a certain shape. Then work into color tubing because a clear is a lot cheaper to work with than the color, and you could always fume it after you're finished, and you got silver added to it, which is a cool thing. In other words, add some color afterwards, basically. Okay, this is the basic bowl that I put on my pipe. Nice round ball. Okay. He asked to see a caterpillar pipe with little feet nubbins. You know, you talk about that, and I almost want to do like a caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland sitting there on a mushroom smoking a hookah, but we won't go there. A caterpillar pipe, that might work, but not today. I'm not saying no to it. And I will try to advertise when I do it or show it off on this channel. You just have to keep coming back and looking. So, and my channel is, of course, Piping Hot Art Glass, which is cool. Does the job. Now, I basically, again, I do an S curve on the stem of my bowl, like so. There we go. Now, usually for my bowls, I blow a bubble. Let me kick this down just a notch. Oops. One of the drawbacks of not having a a foot pedal, right? But I've never used one. Not saying that it wouldn't be the best thing to have in my collection, but as far as having something like this, okay, there we go. You warm in, you make the bubble, and it doesn't have to be a very big hole. You blow out a hole, and then you warm in around it and get it nice and molten. But you don't need to keep the hole very big because as you smash it in, the hole sort of flares out. And if you got a big hole to begin with and you smash it in, it again, as it's as it presses in, it flares out like that. So if you've got a small hole to begin with, it flares out. It's not going to flare out as bad. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Right, right. Crag pipe would also be pretty cool. Okay, I've done scorpion pipe, not on the channel yet, but I can do a scorpion if that would be cooler than a crab. But I could also do a crab pipe. I'll do both. How's that sound? One of these days. I appreciate the input. They will. I will put them on the list to be done. How's that sound? Meaning, it's not a no, but it's not today. I have a lot of fun doing what I do. So, and I do appreciate your input. Believe me. Now, to create the carb, I usually do it in the front. I call it a universal carb. But lately, I've been putting it on the left-hand side just because I can. And I'm going to add a little bit of color to where the hole is. Okay. Now I don't have handy, but I'm going to use it anyway. Here we go. This is just ornamental, and it doesn't have to go on it, but I'm going to do it anyway. What I'm going to do is I've already blown the hole, but I'm going to do a little bit of coil potting, make a nice big bump. seal it up, and then blow that out. And the carb is a little bit further out to the side. See there? Okay. Now, now I'm going to add the same color and do dots all the way around the outside edge here, like so. I'm going to add some more flame here, outside ring. Keep it going here, like so, all the way around. And I'm also going to do two little bumps underneath the bowl to give it stability so it doesn't roll. These aren't the prettiest things in the world, but it does add a little character to it. Afternoon, Athena. I'm glad you showed up. I know you've been disappointed. You've been disappointed a couple of times where you didn't get a chance to see me, or you were just going to work or coming home from work. Um, you missed a little bit of the demo. I was working on repairing a dragon pipe, and you'll just have to watch it later. Sorry. But if you have a request, a simple request, I'll see what I can do about making it into a pipe. Actually, he's made several requests. A caterpillar is one of them, and a crab is another. And I am definitely going to put them into the mix and have them up probably, I think, sometime this week. Um, so we shall see. Seal it in. And again, what I'm doing here is adding two bumps to the bottom. And these bumps will basically give it stability, legs, so it doesn't roll. All right, now what I'm going to do is it sort of goes straight down, and I'm sort of moving it off a little bit to the side. And now I'm going to put the other one on the other side. And then we're going to work on the back end of this simple pipe. You like the crab idea? Well, don't get too crabby over it, Athena. There we go. Oops. Now that one is a little, looking at it, I look at it sideways. Well, look at it straight on. Now we're going to work on the back end of this guy. And I just recently gotten these grippers, and they work out pretty okay for me. It's something different. I'm so used to doing cold welds and making it work that way, but having these grippers has made it a little easier. Okay. We're going to bring it out a little bit more bushy because it was a little stressed out before, and it might be stressed out again. We'll find out real quick here. When you think you've warmed it long enough, warm it a little bit longer. It always makes a difference. So did you have to work today, Athena? Oh yeah, that's about ready to bring down the flame and work on the back end of this baby. Of course, the mouthpiece of the tubing is, oh, there it is. Okay, it's leaning in my lap, but I couldn't find it. Here we go. Okay. Somebody wants me to do a Gandalf pipe, and I need to really work on doing that too. That's going to be a fun one. That's going to be a great fun project to do. Make it look more like the Gandalf pipe. Bring this pliable a little bit more. Put it in the direction that I want it to go in. And I usually do so like an S curve to the stem. It's just my own preferences instead of everybody else who does that big bulgy and then a non-bulgy and then a bulgy deal going on. Here we go. Now I'm going to pull this thin and blow it, and it should blow out. Nope, not enough pressure with the two big holes, but that's okay. We'll get there. What you do is you heat up just the tip, nip it, and pull fast. And that creates a very thin thing at the very base. And I'm going to come over here and nip it off. Come on, off, off. And that should have created a hole. And it did. Very small, thin hole, but a hole all the same. Now it's just a matter of picking at it a little bit and widen it up. Now some graphite rod here to, I usually do try to make it look like one of those flat end mouthpiece deals too. And I'm also going to do a bat here real quick, not today. Well, maybe today, a little later on. Wow. I know that feeling sometimes. $50 extra here in glass can be $150 to $3,000 depending upon what you make out of it. I always know that my glass supplies are well worth um, putting money into. How long you been at work, Athena? And you too, Grant. How long have you been at doing glass? I'm going to warm up and stretch out the neck to this just a little bit more, not a lot, because I can. That's why. Here we go. There we go. I like that. Now, there'll be time. You've been at it for 4 months. Cool. There'll be times. There'll be times that you'll be playing with something. You'll say, no, no, it needs to be a little bit more like this. No, no, it needs to be more a little bit like this. And that's good to do. But you also got to know when to say when, because sometimes you'll be doing that, and that's when you screw it up the worst, to say the least. Okay, I'm gonna pick it up by the back end and warm out the back, the mouthpiece part. Lot of fire. I know it's not the prettiest pipe in the world, but it's part of variety in life. Oops. All right. See there? Shows how strong and durable it is, right? And as you can see, as I set it down, it doesn't roll side to side because of those two legs that I put on the bottom of it. I have been saving money for the last 6 months, is what Grant says, to buy some glass, working supplies, and going to take the class next month locally. Cool. That's part of it. Getting that hands-on, uh, there's nothing like it. There is nothing that can compare to having hands-on glass blowing. Um, what I do suggest you do is, if you can, go ahead and buy the didymium glasses or the shades that probably about anywhere from $60 to $100 is what you got to spend on those. That is one thing you can't skimp on. You want to keep your eyes safe because you don't want them, get them, you know, having problems later on. Um, the If you have some other questions, you can talk to me about it. Um, I'm here, and as you can see, some of the glass that I have melted, I've done the whole gambit. I've done from where I've taken a beach pebble and melted that down on my other channel, Lou Libby channel, and also let's change over. I'm cooling down here anyway. Where is it? Yeah, it's still working. Oh, here we are. Finally found it, the arrow. I've got two computer monitor screens, one for the chat room and the one for the actual computer, and where I can see what's going on inside the camera, and then I can see the chat room over here. And sometimes the mouse gets, you're not sure whether the mouse is in the chat room side or over here on the camera side. Uh, it's a little confusing. I'm not a complete techno whiz, but I've punched at it for the last year and a half and enjoyed everything that I have done with it. Uh, Athena says, I took a class and then my son got a torch and kiln. He kept buying glass, so we have a bunch of glass. Now I have to get a torch and kiln because he moved to Wisconsin. Ah, you were playing with his toys and he moved away. Poor guy. I mean, poor girl. That's half the battle. It really is. But yeah, you've already played with it and you already know what type of torch you might want. So if you can afford it, and I know you probably can't, I know that feeling. Uh, uh, I love my Carlisle. I'll tell you that right now. My Carlisle has taken me through some very unique times. But you've also seen me on my Lou Libby channel, and I think I actually did yeah, I did do one of my pieces with the National Torch on this channel, and that was um, I need shade 5 lenses. I'm going to be working Boro. Actually, you don't need shade 5, and you do need heavy duty protection. Some of those Aurora, I think they call them, lenses, they will protect your eyes, but make sure you get the type that takes out that yellow sodium flare. If they don't, you send it back. And don't do it on eBay. Do it through a reputable company to get your glasses. Don't do an eBay type of glasses because you never know what you're going to get there. Glass, you can play with still and melt, and only work with that glass to do something with, but you don't mess with your eyes. That's my choice. Um, check out Glass Alchemy. They have weekly specials. Yes, I'm glad you guys are chatting amongst yourselves in the chat room too. I'm sorry I didn't see that. But don't mess with your eyes. Do go through a reputable glass supply place. That way, if you see sodium flare in the lenses, and sodium flare is that bright yellow. If you even see a little bit of it, that's not what you're supposed to be seeing. You need to send them back. There has been a couple of batches like that. I don't know if they're still out there, but something to think about. Sorry about the sun. It's going down. It's just out my window here. um, with that, let's see. Got it on no eBay D. Uh, well, if they don't have that yellow sodium, you're good, you're in luck. But you want something that's going to protect your eyes. The type that I have right now, um, to tell you the truth, I'm using this old pair of lenses, and I put it right in front of the torch. Actually, it needs to be about another inch higher for me to do what I need to do, and the torch needs to be about an inch lower too at the same time. Go figure, right? But back to this, back to what we're doing. Yeah, I get too hot and sweaty also, and I also wear a regular pair of glasses. What Athena said is that she likes the little shield that I came up with. They do have those type of shields. I think they're you got to shop around for those. But if you get a diademium shield that protects your face and you can look right into the torch without, and then you could have a pair of glasses along with that other people can watch from other angles. Uh, it I enjoy, especially when I'm working something small, to be able to get the advantage of not having to have two pairs of glasses on my face. Um, and you talk about sweaty and loopy. What I did was I put a piece of tubing, so like the old croaky deal, but I just put tubing to connect it together, and it holds on the face without sliding off. If that would help you out there. Uh, and they do have heat shields other than didymium heat shields, but it's something to look into and something to think about down the road. I know. But again, the type of torches that I've used actually my very first torch. Ah, is it reachable from here? Yeah, it is. You talk about starting from scratch in an archaic. This was my first torch that I used for glass blowing. It's a welding torch, and the tip once it's on there was about this long. So you're looking at. What I did was devise a bookshelf and a hole through the table that I would pop that up and put a bungee cord on the torch to hold it in place, and then I'd be working the torch up here, and I'd adjust the flame down below. Um, then I got a Victor smaller torch, and then I finally got a national torch that was about half this size, but it wasn't the national torch like this. It wasn't a national torch like this. It was something like it had the handle, and again I had to stick it through the table, bungee it into place, and do the torch work like that. And I did that for a good 10, 10 years plus. Uh, the only downfall or down, the thing I didn't like about the National, oh, it's a workhorse. You can get a lot out of it. And if you've only got 100 or $200 to spend, I'd buy one of these and about three or four different tips. You get a very small tip, you get a medium-sized tip, and you get a number 5 tip. And if you really wanted to get fancy, you could get a rosebud or a bush tip, and that would have like 5 or 6 rings of fire, 5 or 6 holes in the torch itself, and it would help you melt big things. Um, and the only downfall of this torch is that you have to stop and crank off the torch tip and then put another one on. If they ever came out with a now they might do it eventually, is a quick release. And if you're listening, National, might be an idea to think about, instead of having to screw it on, some type of quick release that you can pop on one and put on another one ASAP. and that would save you time, effort, and get people liking your torch even more. Who knows? Um, I'm full of it. Ideas, that is. Now, let's see what people have said. Um, and again, if that's all you have available is a welding torch that somebody can give to you, it's a start. And it gets you a chance to melt glass, and it gets you a chance to work with it. And the torch is workable, and you can always get a bigger torch, but you never, again, make sure you got a good pair of glasses to survive with. Now, if you have a number 5 shades, you can actually do quartz work. At least uh, the number 5s, you get really dark, and the quartz gets really, really bright. I might one of these days do a small little quartz pipe, um, or maybe even something to go on a water pipe to go with. I don't know. I haven't thought about it yet, but I will. Um, um, let's see what I like to shield. Okay, all the questions have been answered that I've been looking in the chat room for. It's good to see a few people watching me as I work and ask me questions. I have all of this knowledge. I've been at it since 1982. I love what I do. I love the idea of taking the flame and creating something that 5 minutes ago was an ugly piece of glass like this and turning it into this, where somebody would go, ooh, pretty. Um, and I knew I was on the right track when I first started out, and I was only using a propane blowtorch. Actually, that was the very first torch I got. It was a hothead blowtorch, like you'd solder water pipes with, and I picked up soda bottles off the ground. I mean, literally. Uh, Mountain Dew, Coca Cola, Pepsi, beer bottles, and started pulling, twisting, and stretching. And I've been hooked ever since. And the tobacco pipes are a extension of what I do. I've done, like I say, I've done the gambit. Even at one point, I've done neon signs here in the local neon shop. It changed hands, and they ended up owing me money, so can't work for nothing. Um, and done a little bit of everything. And as far as glass, not everything. I have not done furnace work, and I'd love to try it sometime, but I have not done furnace work. Um, what is the color you used for the dots? It was the color that I used for the dots was some blue exotic, encased blue exotic. And what I if you want me to put a reference to my where I encase like green exotic on my YouTube channel, the Lou Libby YouTube channel, I can do that. But it was basically green exotic, blue exotic, and no, actually that might be moon blue. I take that back. The blue exotic turns out more of a green, and the green exotic turns out more of a green. But the moon blue from North Star is a color that I use to get a nice blue swirls. Let me see if I can get back on the other camera and get you some better pictures here. With the sun, it might give you even better pictures. We'll find out here. Hold on. Okay. Oh, let me close down this thing. Here we go. Now, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there you go. The swirls of blue color in the blue. It's moon blue, or one of the exotic colors. The way you can tell that it's one of the exotic colors is when you heat up the end of it. And I'm trying to show it to you, and you think I could find it to save my life? No. Um, when you heat it up at the tip, it'll turn sort of a shiny metallic color. I can see if this is one of them real quick. Um, find out, huh? Yep. Sometimes it helps to have a lighter handy, but I don't smoke. And these, all they are, these things, they do not have any propane in it. And I've also rigged it so that all it is the striker part. And all you're getting from it, let me see if I can find it here real quick. And I don't think you can see it, but the actual electronic spark is what you're looking for. Let me see. This might be what I'm. Oh yeah, here we go. When you flame the end of it like this, and you could see the color change, the metallic shine come over it with like this one has green, so it's probably either blue exotic or green exotic. Those are the colors that you can encase. What I do is I usually take a clear rod, layer it over the clear rod, and then layer clear over that, and then pull it out into a rod, and it comes out with a nice color. Again, I will do a cross reference to that YouTube video so that you can see it. Uh, oh yeah, that's nice. Um, anyway, any other questions? Now's the time to ask. I might even consider doing a quick bat. And a bat is basically one of those, like, that's the representation of my YouTube channel of piping hot art glass. It's about yay long, a piece of tubing. It constricts at one end just enough to put a little tobacco in one side, and I usually put a mouthpiece looking piece on the other end. And it's depending upon the design colors. And again, all you have to do is use like one of these exotic color tubings in case that I do, and you can see that it's sort of like paisley. It's there's nothing like it, and there'll never be another color variation just like this one ever again. Too, that's the cool part. Um, well, yeah, I guess I could. Since I started talking about it and I'm in the mood, I will go ahead and do a quick bat. Questions? Okay, let's get let's get to it. Um, have you done more jewelry and stuff, Athena, or have you done hollow tubing pieces too? Oh, looks like we got somebody else in the mix today. Hello, whoever showed up. Good to see you. Okay. Now, I also suggest you get a blow hose if you're going to work on tubing. Blow hoses, a swivel blow hose like this. I'm turning it, and this hose stays tight, and it's got a nice airtight seal. They are worth their weight. When you buy color, how far does it go? Do you buy it by the pound normally? Yes, I do buy it by the pound. It's a little, or I also get seconds. With the way I use it, seconds and odds are still give me the quality that I need, because I end up encasing and I end up, it doesn't have to be the right thickness. It doesn't have to be the right size, um, which is okay with me. I mean, when you do a little animal the size that you could put two or three of them on your thumbnail, gives you a little idea what. But yeah, if they're discount colors, now I've used basically North Star for my color palette. I have probably gotten a little Chinese in my time, but not a lot. And the other color that I do make on a regular basis is a silver fumed color. Um, and you've seen a lot of my tubings with that on it. Okay, one quick bat, and then I'm going to call this, put this show in a can, as they call it. I don't need but about a quarter of this to make the bat. Lower it down, constrict it, doing good. Stretching it out. Making a nice design on it already. I mean, I'm going to stretch it out even more so on this side. Now I can show you that in just a second, Grant. Grant has asked the question, how many rods do you usually get in a pound? And uh, I have a drawer full of rods that I've used, and some of it I've used, and it's not a whole pound, but there's a few rods in a pound. I'll tell you that right now. It's not just like one, two rods. You've got like about a half a dozen to a dozen rods, or even more, depending upon the thickness. And again, if you got seconds or odds, the odds are usually just odd various sizes and stuff. Okay, now I'm going to over exaggerate this part of it and then come back down on it again. Blow it out just lightly. Now, I'm going to take this flame down to practically nothing. And I'm going to constrict at one spot and one spot only, almost down to where you collapse the tube, but you're not going to collapse the tube. That's not the idea. The idea is just to constrict. And I'm sucking in slightly, but not a lot. Just a little bit. And I'm also pushing in slightly, not a lot. Now, that's just to start the deal on it. Now I'm going to go ahead and blow out the end of this tube. It's a little bit thick on the end, but we'll get there. Give it a chance. Blowing out on the side instead of the top. The top was very, very thick. When you got one part that's thicker than the other or thinner than the other, sometimes the best thing to do is just heat it all up again, but hold off, and the thinner parts will cool faster, and the thicker parts stay hot longer, and you can blow it out after that. There we go. Now, here we go. Now I know this is going to be a little out of view, so I'm going to kick it back so you can see what I'm doing. I'm heating up here, and I'm also going to flare out the tubing end here. Now it's not the right size constriction yet, but it's getting there, and I will finish it off now. The reason I finish it off this way is so that I can see how big the hole is inside. Ah, it's one thing about seeing it from two different angles. It's almost like you're seeing mono. Uh, Not 3D, but 2D. Okay, it's been a while. There it goes. It's flaring out nicely now. Okay, now the end here, you can do this several ways. One of the ways I like to do it is heat up around where you constricted and then pinch it. And it's glowing enough. Oops, let's see if you can see that. It's glowing enough on the inside that you can see what you're doing as you pinch it. And you will get better. And it's one of these things I haven't done in a while. And another thing I used to use that worked out really, really well for the right size is a needle nose pair of wire uh, jewelry needle nose type things. You know what I'm talking about. They're really, really thin necked needle nose pliers. Okay, and they worked out really, really well for to to ream the inside hole and make sure it's consistent. Okay, okay, okay. A lot of eyes and pendants. Made a little figurine. I'll try to send you a picture. It's kind of cool. Sounds like a plan. Um, I don't know if you're familiar with my web channel, Facebook channel, Melting Memories page. If you would like, and there would be people that probably critique it, but they're very very nice so far. The crowd that I've let in, and it's not very big. I mean, there's like eight or no, I take that back. There's like about 20 or 30 people in the group. Um, I think they've stopped. Most people have stopped posting and just waited for me to post. And I'm sort of saying the idea was to show what I'm doing on my YouTube channel, and also for you to post to this channel. I mean, to this web page, so that you guys can see what everybody's doing that's dealing with learning from my glass lessons, basically. Okay. Now, what I did this for was so that it doesn't roll. You set it down on a table and it won't roll. Usually, I put three tripod deals, three bumps going on, and that usually works out pretty good. And now let's try this new coupling system to see if it can hold on to this end while I work on the other end. Eyes are a lot of fun, and it's hard sometimes doing the iris just right. I understand that principle. Um, you just gotta do one eye at a time, basically, and come out with something that you like and be happy with it. But yeah, I'd love to see pictures of what of your work, Athena, and I will if I see something. I wouldn't say something wrong with it. If there's something that I can encourage you and point you in a better direction, I will. How's that sound? I wish that when I started, there was something like the internet. I'd have been so much further ahead in so much shorter time. But I learned a lot uh, the hard way, school of hard knocks, and it really had its moments. There was a there was a glass blower in a mall where I lived. It was about a 20 to 30-minute drive, and I could stand there for hours watching him. And he actually gave me my first chances at doing glass. And he also even let me work under his oxygen contract as long as I paid for the oxygen that I was using, which was a cool deal. And he also, I made my first um, commercial piece with him. It was a golf bag with clubs. Well, it was down in Miami area, so there was a lot of people going to play golf. And as you can see, what I did here was sort of like flattened it. I'm sorry, I'm sitting here talking instead of explaining, like so, to give it more of a mouthpiece type flair. And with that, I'll flame this out for a while, and I'm going to call this show in the can. And check within this week. I will definitely have, and maybe even tonight, I'm going to have to get a little geared up and think about it. And I can probably do the centipede one. Matter of fact, I have a piece of tubing practically ready to go for this. Oops, the bumps included. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. It's going to have to be very thin and very long, but I think I can do it. I look forward to doing it. Let's just put it that way. Um, oh, I love doing the show. I love audiences. I guess I'm a voyeur, not a voyeur, but what do they call that? Anyway, I love to show off. Uh, can't think of simple words nowadays. Okay. Um, things that I did, you saw so far. You saw this, and then of course the tobacco pipe using silver fume tubing, and it's encased, and it worked out really well. And the repair that I did was this dragon. He had wing problems, which I fixed, and one of the what do you call it? I guess you could say headpiece there was broken off, and he also had a broken leg. And unless you knew what I was doing with it, you wouldn't have known that it was broken to begin with, which is pretty cool. I like being able to go back in, fix it, and get back out of it. There's a trick to it without exploding it. You just got to warm it in a lot and warm it out a lot. So, uh, with that, I'm going to call it quits. And thank you for watching, guys. And if you have comments, put them below. If you have requests that you'd like to see me do, put it below. If you have uh, some ideas for up and coming shows, never hurts to ask. I can always say no, but 9 times out of 10, I usually say, okay, no problem. Let's get doing it. Um, and also click like, click subscribe, um, share this video, get your other friends on my piping hot art glass channel. I haven't got too many people out over here yet, so the more the merrier, and we can go from there. Again, thanks for watching, people. Thanks, Athena. Thanks, Grant, and the other people that were watching. I do enjoy you being there. So, until next time, enjoy your day. Carpe vitro. Who those who haven't heard me say that before, in Latin, that means seize the glass. Thanks, guys.